Alright, for the third day notes, we're going to look at just how to evaluate things on your calculator. We're going to go ahead and make sure we have our mode in degrees and go from there. Okay, so the directions say make sure we round to 3 decimal places here. So here's my calculator. We're going to go ahead and hit mode. Right now mine's in radians, so I'm going to change it over to degrees. Okay, and then quit out of that. Alright, so first one's inverse tangent of 5, so I'm going to go ahead and hit second, tangent, 1 and 5, hit enter, and here's our answer, 78.690. So I want to make sure you put that 0 at the end, just to indicate that it's going to keep on going. It's a rounded number. Okay. Number 2, it's inverse cosine of 7/8. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in by hitting second cosine, 7/8, enter. So this would be 28.955. Alright, number 3, we have a little bit of work to do before we start typing things in. We don't have an inverse cosecant in our calculator, so we're going to go ahead and rewrite it in the reciprocal function. Okay, so the reciprocal function for cosecant is sine, so we're going to go ahead and take the inverse sine, and we have to also take the reciprocal of -3, which is 1 over -3. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and type that in. So inverse sine of -1/3. We get negative 19.471 degrees. Okay. And that makes sense because remember, sine, we're looking at quadrant 1, quadrant 4. This is going to be in quadrant 4. Alright. Let's go ahead and take a look at 4. Inverse sine of 1/7. Okay, it's going to be 8.213 degrees. Okay, cosecant again is a reciprocal function, very similar to what we have for number 3. So we're going to go ahead and have to use inverse sine and take the reciprocal of the argument as well. Okay, so we're going to type that into our calculator. Alright, answer is negative 41.810 degrees. Okay, 6, we have secant, inverse secant, so we've got to change that to inverse cosine, and then also take the reciprocal of the argument. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type that in. That gives me 138.590 degrees. Now this also makes sense because remember it's quadrant 1 or 2. Okay, 138 degrees would be in quadrant 2. Okay, so that's just a quick kind of refresher on how to find the inverse trig functions on the calculator. Now we're going to go ahead and use a sum and difference and double formulas that we learned from last unit and apply them here. We're going to cross out half angles, so we're not going to do those. Okay, so these type of questions, you're going to actually have to create look at 2 angles, create 2 triangles, and then use sum and difference or double angle formulas to evaluate. So here, we're going to take the sine of all this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and label this inverse sine of -4/5 as triangle A. So remember, sine would be opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so here's angle A. Okay, so since it's a negative sine value, it's going to be in quadrant 4. Okay, so opposite would be -4. Your hypotenuse would be 5. This is a 3, 4, 5 triangle, so I'm going to go ahead and label the adjacent side 3. This is inverse tangent of 12/5, so this is going to be angle B. Okay, so here's B. Tangent, it's positive, so that means it's got to be in quadrant 1. Okay, because remember, principal values for tangent is either quadrant 1 or 4. It's positive, so it's got to be in quadrant 1. So tangent again is TOA. So opposite is 12. adjacent side is 5. That gives a hypotenuse of 13. So now I have my two triangles drawn out. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take the sine of this angle A plus angle B. Okay, so remember, we're going to have to use the formula sine of A times cosine of B plus sine of B cosine of A. So we're going to have to look at these pictures. So sine of A, opposite over hypotenuse, cosine of B, adjacent over hypotenuse, plus sine of B, opposite over hypotenuse, cosine of A, adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay. We're going to multiply this out. We get negative 20 over 65 plus 36 over 65, positive 16 over 65. All right, you guys try out number 8.